1, 2, 3. Shut up, man. You already know.
All right, man. Have some fun.
Jets on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Welcome to Pregame Central, presented by Uber Eats. I'm Eric Allen, joined in studio by Ethan Greenberg. In a moment, we'll hear from both Anthony Becht and Eric Coleman. But there is Bryce Hall and rookie quarterback Zach Wilson entering Gillette Stadium this morning. It is the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. After a bye, the green and white take aim at a team that had dominated the AFC East for much of the past 20 years. But Ethan, as we begin today, this is a different Patriots team than what we've been accustomed to seeing for a long time. Obviously, no Tom Brady for his second year, but they're 2-4.
Yeah, this is not the Patriots that, let's say, I grew up with. I grew up with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, and you think about the Patriots starting 0-4 at home. I mean, we don't hear those words often talking about a Bill Belichick coach team. And what's crazy to think about also is not only the pieces for New England, but just if you look at things through a wide-angle lens, the Jets are done with the Patriots with their both matchups before they even see another AFC East opponent in 2021.
Quinnen Williams getting warmed up there on a beautiful fall day in New England. Let's bring in the aforementioned Anthony Becht and Eric Coleman. Anthony, these two teams, as Ethan just articulated, are not separated by much. The Jets enter this game 1-4. The Patriots are 2-4, 0-4 at home.
Yeah, really, two quarterbacks that have similar kind of mirror-to-mirror reflections. Both have rookie quarterbacks. Defensively, I think the Patriots have done a nice job of really just kind of helping their offense be successful, keeping them in games. It really does come down to the quarterback position, right? So it's about the development of your quarterback. It's about how they're playing up to this point. Both guys are going to be extremely successful and lead their programs for a long time. If you look at Mac Jones and what he's done so far, he's kind of methodically, they've taken the route of the dink and dunk conservative passing style to kind of boost his confidence up early on in the season. And I think as you look at what the Cowboys game last week, they kind of opened it up a little bit for him. They allowed him to be a little more successful. And they've had a decent running game supplied with him as well. You look on the Jets side, I think that's kind of the mode you got to get in with the Jets. Coming off a bye week, you get to self-scout, assess yourself, critique your offense, kind of see what works, what doesn't, and you start putting plays together now and say, okay, these are our best stuff. We got to work these in the couple weeks of practice, and we have to get better from it so that they come out of the gates flying against a Patriots team that, is hungry for a home win.
Great transition for you, Eric Coleman. We just saw Zach Wilson out there. There's Elijah Vera Tucker, who's been so impressive for the Jets over the course of the last couple games. But everybody's focused on this. How can this team start faster? Obviously, 0 points in the first quarter to date. They've been outscored in the first half, 75-13 collectively.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great opportunity to get off to a fresh start. Anthony mentioned going back during the bye week, doing self-scouting, trying to see what in the game plan needs to change. What does this team need to add to the start of these games? Because 13 points in the first half is not going to cut it, and it's not going to give them a fair shot to compete this season. So, I think maybe you change things up. You add some no huddle. You add it just pick up the pace somehow, some way. Obviously, running the football has definitely got to be a focal point offensively, and it's a great time to do some self-scouting, because we all know when you play New England, that's what they do. They go back to your film look at your defense. They see how you got beat. They implement those things into their offense. So you almost have to check your own oil, and it was a great opportunity to come off the bye after you do the self-scout. So hopefully they get those things rectified and come out to a great start.
Anthony, while the Jets are focused on getting out of the gate quicker, the Patriots, is all about finishing for them, because we mentioned their record, 2-4. This team easily could be 5-1 if you think about the finishes against the Miami Dolphins when they turned the ball over there late on a Damian Harris fumble where they were going in to take the lead. Nick Folk barely missed a 56-yard field goal. He's been Mr. Automatic for the Patriots the past couple seasons against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then finally you had last week when they had a lead on the Dallas Cowboys late and eventually lost that game in overtime.
Well, look, it's growing pains for them as well. You know, we have a young quarterback, and it's not all on the quarterback, but you're trying to develop your offense into something that makes sense and works so that you can win football games and stay in football games in the fourth quarter. You know, there's a lot of mistakes being made by young quarterbacks across the NFL, and you as a football team have to find ways to kind of work around it, be better in other areas so that you have that support cast around your quarterback and also defensively so that you can be in a game in a fourth quarter. It's always going to be close. You know, the Patriots, the Jets are not going to go out in a game and blow somebody out or win by 3 touchdowns. It's just not going to happen. So they're going to learn a lot, at least from the quarterback position in these close games, how to win them. And I think sometimes that's better for you in the long run. Everybody wants wins now. Everybody wants to have their team go out there and do everything today. But unfortunately, in both teams' cases, there is a process there. And right now, when you look at both of them, you know, you see that what the Patriots have done, they played in close games. They've been battle tested. They've stayed in some of these. But it does affect you in similar ways as if, you know, you can't find a way to win. Even though you're close, you can't get over the hump. Both of these teams are trying to find something to build an identity on so that they can win games in a more consistent fashion.
All right, as we watch Marcus May right now at Gillette Stadium, I have to remind everybody, Uber Eats, the official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL, is delivering game day deals all season. Like buy one, get one. Order now with your Uber Eats app. Mine is already open. We're going to be ordering some food here shortly, so we're ready for kickoff. But let's get to game day storylines. Greens, what's the status of a couple of key Jets defenders for this game?
Well, let's start with the guy that we just saw on the screen, Marcus May. He will play against the New England Patriots. He's missed the past 2 games. And think about this. Marcus May is one of 7 safeties to play for the Jets this season. Think all the way back to Carolina when the Jets lost LaMarcus Joyner. Well, Marcus May, a big piece to this defense. The 2020 Curtis Martin Team MVP, offers stability in the back end, offers veteran leadership, and is really one of the veterans in a very young room if you include the cornerbacks in that as well. And then you talk about veteran leadership. Let's move to the middle linebacker position. C.J. Mosley, earlier today, we saw that he was working out on the field right here. I mean, this is me overanalyzing this one single video, but he's wearing the cutoff top as if he were going to play. We'll see what happens when the inactives come out. Hey, I mean, look, he's going through the motions here, testing out the hammy.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens. But if he's not able to play, C.J. Mosley, that means Jamien Sherwood will wear the green dot. And I actually found it very interesting what Saleh said about Sherwood, a rookie transitioning from safety to linebacker. He said that Saleh thinks Sherwood is going to be a staple of this team and this defense in years to come. Maybe not necessarily this season, but assuming he gets a full game in, we could see the first real game action of Jamien Sherwood.
Those linebackers will be lining up, of course, behind folks like Quinnen Williams and Folorenzo Fatukasi. As we bring the fellas back in here, Eric, your thoughts on Mosley? Did not practice at all this week, as Ethan just said, and he's played so well the first 5 games. What kind of loss would it be if he can't go?
You know, it would be a huge loss for the defense. One, he's the leader. You know, he's the centerpiece. He's the quarterback. He puts everyone in position, gives alerts during the cadences. You know, just kind of the mouthpiece for that defense. And then 2, the way that he's been flying around the field, he really sets the tone. You know, he's been flying around sideline to sideline. He's been hitting running backs, knocking guys back. That is contagious. And not having him on the field would hurt the team. You know, especially this young team who thrives off that emotion. But getting Marcus May back in the fold is a big bonus. He's a great leader as well, playmaker. So hopefully they can get on the right side of the turnover battle this time around.
Anthony, if Mosley can't go, and we're knocking on glass here inside the studio that he can go, do you anticipate the Patriots even throwing to their backs even more than is part of their game plan? Because traditionally over the years, we know the Patriots like that short passing game, getting the ball to their backs, but you could be facing a Jets linebacker crew that Ethan just mentioned, starts a rookie, Jamien Sherwood, maybe that waiver wire find in Quincy Williams, of course, and then you have options, Delshon Phillips included in the mix. Blake Cashman, and the Jets also brought up Noah Dawkins yesterday from the practice squad.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the Patriots are going to do what they do. Mosley obviously not going to be on the field. That's your iron horse, right? That's the guy that's going to be out there and leading the ship. I think there's a lot of promise in some of these younger players. I mean, Quincy Wilson and some of these, Williams, some of these guys and what they've done so far. They've had some nice splash plays, and I think that whether they're getting tested versus the pass or the run, they're gonna have to find ways to read their keys and be good today. I mean, that's what this is all about. This league, it's about guys stepping up. Mosley wasn't here for all last year. Guys had to step up. So the defense moves on. The defense has really done a really nice job. I got to give credit to Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator, for the adjustments they've made to be as good as they've been defensively. And they're going to have to come up big in this game as well. They're going to get a lot of heavy runs. They're going to get a bunch of tight ends at them. And they're going to get some play action pass. So those are kind of the basic fundamentals of how the Patriots run their offense. But when you do that successfully, it's hard to defend. And that'll be the things that I'll see or look for today in the young linebacker play if Mosley's not out there.
All right, so we should have inactives here in about 18 minutes or so. Hey, Jets fans, as you stock up for game day this season, keep an eye out for specially marked Pepsi products for your chance to win exciting Jets prizes from Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New York Jets. Eric Allen here in studio with Ethan Greenberg, where you are watching Pregame Central, presented by Uber Eats. In just a moment, well, here they are. The fellas are here. It's time for our matchups to watch. A guy we just saw was Michael Carter II, one of the most impressive Jets defenders to date. Eric, who do you have your eyes on this week?
Well, I do have my eyes on Michael Carter II. I think he's been doing a great job this season, stepping up, as a young player. He's flying around the field. He's doing great in coverage, covering the deep ball, coming up, tackling well. And he's going to have a big obstacle in his hands with Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers has 36 catches, 346 yards on the season. He's a big part of this Patriots offense. So Michael Carter is going to have a big load on his hands. I think he's going to be up for the challenge. Communication is going to be the key. Open field tackling, as always, when you play the Patriots, it's going to be a great matchup.
Okay, before we get to Anthony, what's the difficulty playing in the middle against a guy like Myers, being at that nickel spot? Because he is the leading pass catcher for the Patriots.
Well, it's tough playing that nickel position because, the receiver has a two-way go. You don't have the sideline as that 12th defender. You're in the middle of the field. He can run stop routes. He can run, double moves in the middle of that field. And a lot of times, you don't have a lot of help. So, being physical, being aware of splits, understanding situational football is such a big part of playing that nickel position. And that's why it's so impressive that Michael Carter has done so well, picking up the game, just showing his mental capability at the beginning of this season.
Yep, Jacoby Myers versus Michael Carter II. We got to keep our eyes on that all day. Anthony, how about you?
Yeah, I got to flip the scripts and go the other way. Same kind of matchup, but reverse it. Corey Davis versus J.C. Jackson. I mean, listen, guys, Corey Davis is the number one receiver in this football team. He's the guy that Zach Wilson is going to try to bail him out. He's the guy that they're going to try to build around offensively to get the ball in his hands. I think you take a bye week, you kind of look at what you've done, and you come back and you just try to, step it up a notch and finish up the remaining games of the season strong. And I think it's a great opportunity for these two to build and continue to build upon the relationship that they're growing. J.C. Jackson, look, he presents problems. It's not just against Corey Davis, but it's about, how the quarterback reads him and his eyes and everything that he does and all that, the Patriots secondary. So, again, that challenge when presented one-on-one, you got to win those matchups, and it's going to be tight window throws for the quarterbacks. But Corey Davis today can have a big game if he wants to. Just because J.C. Jackson is one of the better corners in the league doesn't mean that he can't be successful. And I think it has to be, tagged with a really good run game.
Anthony, why has Jackson been so productive the last couple seasons? Obviously, for a long time, the fixture in that secondary was Stephon Gilmore. He's in Carolina now. And the Patriots are banged up there, but he continues to get his hands on footballs. I think it's 3 consecutive games against the Jets, in fact, where he's had an interception.
Well, it starts with personal development and coaching, right? So that's number one. I mean, he takes that in, really good. You can tell. I mean, clearly the guy is a student of the game. He has to be dialing deep into the film and understanding how patterns are run and how tendencies are for receivers, taking it to the next step. You don't just wake up, roll out of bed, and you're the best corner. You got to go out there and put that work in. I mean, he wasn't a guy that was presented to the NFL when he first came to New England as going to be one of the top corners in the NFL. You see the work ethic. You see what he does. He has great instincts. And Eric will say, I mean, you see how a guy develops himself and becomes a better player. He improves, and he's always consistent. He never has a drop-off. You never see a game where he's getting burnt for 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. You see that consistent level, or you see the greatness. And that's a sign of, a player that's going to be good for a long time.
He had 2 interceptions in the Patriots' 25-6 win over the Jets, of course, at MetLife Stadium in Week 2. Ethan, the floor is yours.
All right, well, I'm going to go in the trenches. I have my eyes on the Jets' offensive line against this Patriots' defensive line. And if you look at the 2 guys in the graphic right now, George Fant and Matt Judon most likely will be going up against each other for a large portion of this game. And Judon tied for 3rd in the NFL with 6.5 sacks. He had one in the Week 2 matchup between these teams. And from a pass protection standpoint, the Jets got a lot better since Week 2 to present, largely also part of this guy right here, rookie left guard Elijah Vera Tucker. 15 sacks over the first 3 weeks allowed, just 3 in the past 2 games for the Jets. And then if you think about Week 2 on the ground, the Jets were able to run for a season-high 152 yards. And I'm not saying that's going to happen again today, but you have to think that the Jets are going to try to establish a ground attack. And for the green and white, it all starts up front.
And those 2 guys right there, George Fant, Morgan Moses, have really stepped up for the green and white. Anthony, before I get to my matchup, I want to ask you about the tackle play because everybody was very concerned about the Jets, especially on the outside after Mekhi Becton went out in Week 1. I think they've been getting very good pass protection. The next step for this line is to get some more traction on the ground.
Yeah, the hardest thing to do for an offensive lineman is pass protect. And we have very athletic tackles that have been able to step in. We're very fortunate to have tackles that are starting quality tackles when your starter goes down. You're right, having complementary. The easy part for me is when you can roll your knuckles up and come off the ball and block somebody in the run game, in particular the way and the style that this Jets offense is supposed to look like. We look at, and what we talked about is that 49ers rush offense and what they've done the last couple of years with Coach Benton, the offensive line coach. That's what I want to see. You go back to this Patriots game a couple weeks ago, 152 yards rushing. Now, you take away the turnovers in that game, that's a pretty darn good day of rushing for this team. And then you go back the last 3 games, 64 yards against Atlanta, 66 yards versus the Titans, and 43 yards versus the Broncos. To me, that's where the script has to flip, guys, because if it doesn't flip in the running department, it really is hard to advance your quarterback. I get it. It's a passing league. Everybody understands that. But when you're growing and you're trying to learn, the most successful days for quarterbacks is when their offense has been able to run the football in the history of just playing young quarterbacks. Go back. I mean, every game you see their success, it's not because the arm of a guy. It's because of the fact that they've had balance. So let's see if this turns and cranks up. I think the run game is vital. Just in general, forget about the quarterback. I think Jets need to be a nasty ground and pound team, and I think it needs to start there in this football game.
You are watching Pregame Central presented by Uber Eats. My matchup to watch today, Jets-Patriots, the rematch. It's the quarterback, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. You go back to that Week 2 meeting. Mac Jones didn't have a touchdown pass. The big story in that game where the Jets won a lot of statistical categories was Zach Wilson was intercepted 4 times. If you're a Jet fan, you're hoping he was able to take a step back after the bye, relax, and then come back juiced up. I think throughout the facility this week, you got a sense from the Jets that they're ready, they're roaring to go. They're ready to go, and that includes the quarterback, the rookie quarterback there, and the number 2 overall pick out of BYU. In fact, Wilson said this week that he's going to have a blast Sunday at Gillette Stadium. Mac Jones, he protects the football, but he's been intercepted 6 times himself, including interceptions in each of the past 3 games. So is this the week the Jets can pick up their first interception of the season. When we look, guys, Jets overtime, post-game, when we're sitting here discussing the game, we're going to look at the stat lines. And for me, who has the better stat line? Who protects the football? That's what this game is going to come down to today. They're not facing each other, but I think the better quarterback today is going to lead their team to victory. We are loaded. We have a loaded lineup as always here on Sunday. Jets overtime, post-game. SNY is going to have you covered throughout as well. You got their pregame show and then post-game show as well. But you're going to tune in to Jets overtime with us four after the game. Speaking of the Jets head coach, Robert Saleh, we're going to have Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh, 11:30 CBS after this one. And let's hear from the head coach right now.
You know, anytime you don't start fast and you just, you have a young group and it, a lot happens to these guys. I mean, we're getting significant playing time from 9 rookies. I think we lead the NFL in snaps by rookies. And, you go through OTAs and training camp and preseason and then you get this first 5 weeks of the season. I think it was a good time to just step back, take a deep breath, and just hit the reset button. And just schematically, obviously, just trying to figure out what the quarterback is comfortable with. Same thing defensively. What is the defense comfortable with, so we can get some more 3 and outs. Scheduling wise, just tweaking with the schedule a little bit to just kind of match the game with our body clocks a little bit. So it's they're subtle. It's not about a grab bag or a wholesale change and trying to change everything. But just to try to make things, do things that are sound, that make sense, that not only a coach but a player can look at and say, okay, you know what, that makes sense. And rather than trying to reinvent the wheel, just do things that are in line with the philosophy of their organization and the direction that we're trying to go to.
So many things going on today. It's Jets, Patriots. Listen, Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh airs at 11:30 CBS 2 here locally. If you're not local, you're in luck because at noon it's going to be on our digital properties. Ethan, what are your thoughts on Robert Saleh and the way he's approaching this Patriots game? Because he's been asked a number of times this week, not just about the Patriots, but Bill Belichick as well.
Well, I think that Robert Saleh in general has approached everything pretty much the same, right? He has his mantra, all gas, no break. Entering this week's game, you know what the Jets are going to want to do, right? And I thought listening to Saleh in that bite and also in his press conferences throughout the week, same guy, seems a little refreshed like the team, but I think that the Jets and Saleh were able to take a step back, reevaluate what they've done, try to pinpoint what they can do, especially starting fast on offense. And Saleh said they made a couple practice changes. We'll see how that gets translated on the field in a couple hours. So I've been impressed with the way that the Jets have approached this game. I mean, they're going to say the same thing. They're just the next opponent on the schedule, but I'm interested to see how this team performs, 1, out of a bye week, and 2, knowing that they've played the Patriots once before.
Let's bring back both Anthony and Eric. It is time for our favorite segment here on Pregame Central presented by Uber Eats. That is All In or Not today. I believe, fellas, we have a new leader in the clubhouse. Is that correct? Let's see. Oh, the standings. Eric Coleman up to 4-1. Anthony, back to myself, a game out, and Ethan Greenberg is still 0-4. Anybody have any opening thoughts before we get to today's All In or Not today?
Should be a 3-box, I think, not a 4-box.
Wow. Wow.
Eric Coleman, are you feeling pretty good? You got yours right last week, even though you said something was going to happen and the exact opposite happened. But by technicality, you got it right.
Hey, you know what? I just try to keep it real. Try to focus on the game plan, and hopefully it all works out for the Jets.
All right. Well, hopefully it all works out for everybody here. I think that Ethan is going to need an intervention or something. I don't know, but we're going to start with Eric today since he is our leader. Eric, Matt Judon will not have a sack against the Jets. Judon has 6.5 sacks this year and he had a sack and 2 quarterback hits in week 2.
Oh man, that's a tough one. You know, and listen, I don't think if Matt Judon has a sack, it really, as long as he doesn't force a fumble, force a turnover, it's fine. So I'm going to say all in. I'll allow him 1 sack today. I know the Patriots are going to bring a lot of different pressures, and we still have a young quarterback, but that's not going to disrupt the game plan. They're going to keep the chains moving, but I'm going to go ahead and say all in.
Okay, so you're saying Judon will have a sack or he won't have a
Well,
sack?
okay, so not today. He will have a sack today.
Oh, not today for Eric Coleman. How about that? Throwing a little curveball at us. Anthony, you've been talking about the run game for weeks. You wake up talking about the run game. You wake up looking to hit somebody. The New York Jets will rush for a total of at least 125 yards today against the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all in because if they don't, it's going to be hard to win the football game. It's going to be hard to win any game in the NFL. You have to be able to have an identity offensively to do something and lean on something. If we're asking a quarterback to go out there and do it by himself, it's going to be incredibly hard, whether it's the Jets or anybody else. So I'm going to go all in because without going all in here, the Jets won't have a chance. So let's see how this bye week treats them and see how they do. But I think that's a very reachable goal versus a team that they had 152 against in a football game a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, the big word for Anthony today is attempts. He doesn't want to see any game book that has less than 20 attempts for the green and white. We just saw Ty Johnson before. That's going to help the rookie quarterback there, Zach Wilson, as well. Maybe the Jets can get some play action shots down the field. My all-in or not today is both Zach Wilson and Mac Jones will throw at least 1 touchdown pass today. Remember, week 2, neither one of them had a touchdown pass in the Patriots' 25-6 win. I am going to go not today here. We'll have to see what happens, how this game transpires, but just the way these two teams have been playing. And the Jets, remember, 2 rushing touchdowns last week. Ty Johnson got in on the ground. Michael Carter got in on the ground. And if you go back a couple weeks, Michael Carter has 2 rush touchdowns, a rush touchdown apiece in the last 2. So I am going not today. Maybe the Jets secondary picks up an interception and they keep Mac Jones off the board. Ethan, Elijah. I just heard from technical director Matthew Sitkoff. Since you are 0-5, there are a couple people who have some messages for Ethan Greenberg prior to his pick.
Ethan, man, heard you've been struggling on your picks.
Ethan, you have no shot.
You got it, Ethan.
I mean, you've had more pressure and came through. You remember the punts, right? I guess the under, you hit the over. You're clutch under pressure.
You can do it, Ethan.
No shot.
You got it, Ethan.
So let's flip the script today, huh?
Oh, my God.
Anthony, what do you think about that? Nice job, Katie.
Hey,
Weirdo in
listen,
the back.
I've been suggesting this for the last couple of weeks. I told Ethan, the game will be played with a football today, all in. If you just go with that, you can get yourself an easy win. That's the best way to go.
Do you have any words of advice before we get to Ethan?
All right, so Ethan, do all your research. Do whatever you've been doing during that week. Come up with your pick and just go the opposite way. That's
I have not seen this kind of futility on this set ever because, listen, the BetMGM studio was created August 2020. So we're sitting here October 2021, and I have never seen anybody go on a streak like this. Ethan, 0-5 to start the 2021 season. It's gotten so bad that the Jets locker room is involved here because people really feel sorry for you.
Yeah, first of all, the video is hilarious. Second of all, thank you for the support. And third of all, you called my streak impressive. That's all I want to say.
All right, Ethan, here we go. Game 6 for you today.
Okay.
Rookie wide receiver Elijah Moore will have 50-plus yards receiving. Again, I have to say receiving because Elijah Moore is a multi-dimensional weapon. The Jets could use him in a few ways.
I got 2 words. All in. I am all in on this one, not just because Anthony Beck said if I go all in, I'll get it right. I do take his advice most of the time, but here's the deal. Corey Davis, you know that Bill Belichick is going to keep an eye on Corey Davis, try to take him out of the game. 2 receptions for 8 yards in week 2 for Corey Davis. He'll most likely see J.C. Jackson. No Jonathan Jones for the Pats, which means that guy right there, Elijah Moore, number 8, will see a lot of Jalen Mills. And Cynthia Freeland said on the Numbers Game, on the Game Preview podcast, that Dak Prescott took advantage of Jalen Mills. Think about the last touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb. Who was trailing in coverage? That was number 2, Jalen Mills. And I think that Elijah Moore will get his first 50-plus yard receiving game in the NFL today.
Okay, fellas, we will check in with you guys later. That was a lot of words for somebody who said 2 words. Remember how that segment started. Anthony and Eric will check in with you for Jets Overtime after the game. Here are today's Game Day inactives. Tevin Coleman, Jeff Smith, Tyler Croft, Jonathan Marshall, Adrian Colbert, and C.J. Mosley is indeed inactive. That means Jamie Sherwood will be the Jets' Mike linebacker today. Enjoy Jets Patriots. If you're viewing locally, go over to CBS 2. It's Jets Game Day with Robert Saleh. Ethan and I will be here after the game with the fellas for Jets Overtime, presented by Nissan. But we're out of time. Enjoy it.